Okay, so you want to master regular expressions, and you've got this awesome regular expression pocket reference to guide you.
It's a fantastic resource
Yeah.
because it doesn't just throw a bunch of syntax at you.
Right.
It breaks down how to use regular expressions effectively in specific languages like Perl, Ruby, Java, .NET, you name it.
Right. It's like having a multilingual friend who can explain the nuances of each language's approach to regex.
Exactly. And that's key because what works in one language might behave differently in another.
Yeah.
This pocket reference keeps those little gotchas from tripping you up.
For sure. Like, say you're building a search tool for a recipe website and you want users to be able to search for ingredients, even with like little spelling variations.
Yeah.
That's where metacharacters come in handy, right?
Absolutely. Metacharacters are those special characters that let you express things like this character 0 or more times, or any character in this set. They're the building blocks of more complex patterns.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So in our recipe search, a user could search for chili, and the meta character could help us match recipes containing chili or even chili genius.
Precisely. And this pocket reference unpacks these meta characters in a really practical way. It shows you not only what they mean, but also how they function differently across various programming languages.
That's so helpful. Now, I've always been a bit fuzzy on character classes.
Mm,
They sound kind of intimidating.
not at all. Think of character classes as shortcuts for defining a set of characters you want to match.
Okay.
Instead of listing every single possibility, you can use shorthands like D to represent any digit or W for any word character.
Word character, there's a potential gotcha, right? Because what constitutes a word can differ between languages, doesn't it?
You're spot on. And this is where the pocket reference proves invaluable.
Okay.
It highlights these subtle but crucial differences. For example, it'll tell you that Java's is more restrictive than Perl's when it comes to Unicode characters.
So you're not just blindly copying and pasting code, you're understanding the why behind it.
Exactly. Now, let's say you're trying to validate email addresses from different parts of the world. Suddenly, you need to consider a wider range of characters beyond the standard Latin alphabet. That's where robust Unicode support becomes essential.
And that's another area where this pocket reference shines, right? It demystifies each language's approach to Unicode, which can be a real lifesaver.
Absolutely. This reference is like having a roadmap to navigate the intricacies of Unicode support in your chosen language, ensuring your regular expressions are equipped to handle the complexities of global communication.
That's amazing. Now let's talk about anchors. They're like the GPS coordinates of regex,
Right.
helping us pinpoint exactly where a match should occur within a text.
Great analogy. Whether you want your pattern to match at the beginning of a line, using onter at the end with mirror, or at a word boundary with Bury, anchors give you that precision.
So if I'm searching for a word at the end of a sentence, the anchor is my best friend. This is making so much sense now. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, you got it. Anchors are all about adding that specific location context to your regex. But sometimes you need to be a bit sneakier, checking for patterns without actually including them in the match.
Oh, right. Like I'm thinking about this times you might want to find a word, but only if it's followed by a certain character without that character becoming part of the match itself.
That's where lookarounds come in handy.
Mhm.
They're like having X-ray vision in your regex.
Right.
You can peek ahead with a look ahead or glance back with a look behind,
Oh.
making sure your pattern only matches under those specific conditions.
So if I'm trying to find all the color spellings in a document, a look ahead could help me find instances of color followed by a space or punctuation mark, ensuring I don't accidentally grab parts of words like colorful.
Exactly. And the best part is lookarounds don't consume any characters. They just look around your pattern.
Right.
This pocket reference breaks down the syntax for look-aheads and look-behinds across different languages, empowering you to add this level of precision to your regex.
That's amazing. Now, I gotta admit, I've looked at some regex patterns before and thought, this looks like hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
How do we keep our expressions from becoming unreadable gibberish,
Right.
especially as they get more complex?
That's a very real concern, especially when you're working on larger projects or collaborating with others.
Right.
Thankfully, this pocket reference doesn't just leave you hanging. It highlights features like modes and comments that can make your regex life so much easier.
Okay, so modes and comments. Let's break those down.
Sure.
What kind of superpowers do modes give us?
Think of modes like settings on a camera.
Okay.
They let you fine-tune how your regex behaves.
Right.
For instance, the case-insensitive mode lets you match patterns regardless of capitalization, saving you from writing out every possible combination of uppercase and lowercase letters.
That's a huge time saver. So instead of writing something like hello W world, I could use a case insensitive mode and just write hello world, love it.
You got it.
Yeah.
And then there's free spacing mode, a godsend for complex expressions. This mode lets you use white space and indentation within your regex for readability without those spaces being interpreted as part of the pattern itself.
That's a game changer. So I can actually format my regex to make it understandable, like a well-organized paragraph instead of a jumbled mess.
Precisely. This pocket reference even highlights languages that support inline comments within your regex.
Oh, wow.
So you can leave notes explaining what different parts of your pattern are doing.
That's like leaving breadcrumbs for yourself and others who might dare to venture into your regex code. Talk about making everyone's lives easier.
Absolutely. And speaking of organizing information, let's talk about capturing groups.
Okay.
These are like those little plastic containers you use to separate your snacks, except you're organizing and extracting specific parts of your matched text.
Okay, that's a delicious analogy. So how do capturing groups work in practice? Can you give me an example?
Of course, imagine you're working with a data set of names in the format, last name, first name.
Oh.
Capturing groups allow you to extract the first and last names separately by putting parentheses around the parts of the pattern you want to capture.
So I could use a capturing group for the last name and another one for the first name.
Right.
And then use those captured values to, say, rearrange the order to first name, last name. That's powerful.
Exactly. And this pocket reference comes in clutch again by clearly showing you how to refer back to these captured groups in different languages.
Yeah.
It's like having a cheat sheet for unlocking the full potential of captured data.
That's incredible. Now I'm starting to see how all these different elements, metacharacters, anchors, lookarounds, modes, comments, and capturing groups, they all work together to make regular expressions incredibly versatile.
You're absolutely right. It's like having a toolbox full of specialized tools, each playing a crucial role in helping you achieve your goal.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, and I feel like I'm really starting to grasp the power of regex. But before we wrap up, I have to ask, what about those times when you need even more fine-grained control over how your regex engine matches patterns? Are there secret levers we can pull?
You read my mind. There are indeed, and this pocket reference doesn't shy away from introducing you to some of these advanced techniques.
Okay.
Let's talk about possessive quantifiers and atomic groups. These are like the turbochargers of the regex world.
Okay, possessive quantifiers and atomic groups, those sound intense. Tell me more.
So you're familiar with quantifiers like n plus day, which allow for 0 or more, or one or more matches, right?
Right, yeah.
Well, possessive quantifiers are like their more decisive cousins.
Okay.
They grab onto a match and refuse to let go, even if it means the overall regex might fail.
Wow, that's some serious commitment. When would you ever want a quantifier to be that stubborn?
It's all about efficiency. In certain situations, possessive quantifiers can prevent unnecessary backtracking by the regex engine, which can significantly speed up your pattern matching, especially when you're working with large amounts of text.
So it's a trade-off between flexibility and speed.
Right.
You're giving up some backtracking potential for a performance boost.
Precisely. And this pocket reference provides excellent examples of when and how to use possessive quantifiers effectively, so you can make informed decisions based on your specific needs.
This is amazing. It's like this pocket reference is packed with little regex secrets waiting to be discovered.
Absolutely. And on that note, let's not forget about atomic groups. These are like possessive quantifiers, but on a group level.
Okay.
They treat the entire group as a single unit, preventing the engine from backtracking into the group once a match has been found.
Okay, so it's like putting a force field around a group of characters saying what happens in this group stays in this group.
You got it. And just like possessive quantifiers, atomic groups can lead to significant performance improvements in certain scenarios. The key is understanding when and how to use them strategically.
This is all starting to make so much sense. This pocket reference isn't just a dictionary of syntax. It's
Right.
like a strategic guide to wielding the power of regular expressions effectively.
Exactly. It's about understanding the nuances, the trade-offs, and the advanced techniques that can take your regex skills to the next level.
This is incredible. Now, I know we've touched on Unicode briefly, but I feel like there's so much more to uncover there.
Yeah.
What are some of the key takeaways from the pocket reference when it comes to working with Unicode in regex?
You're right. Unicode is a whole other world within regex. What's great is this pocket reference doesn't just tell you Unicode is important. It gives you the practical guidance you need to actually use it.
Okay, so what kind of practical guidance are we talking about? What should someone using this reference pay attention to?
First off, the reference helps you understand each language's level of Unicode support. Some languages might handle basic Unicode characters fine,
Hmm.
but, but struggle with more complex scripts or character classes that span different writing systems.
So it's like knowing whether you need a simple phrase book or a comprehensive dictionary, depending on where you're traveling.
Exactly. And beyond that, the reference digs into language-specific features.
Okay.
For example, it shows you how to use Unicode properties
hmm
in your regex.
Unicode properties. Now, those sound interesting. Tell me more.
So instead of matching specific characters, Unicode properties let you match categories of characters.
Well,
Like instead of listing every single type of punctuation,
Right.
you can use a property that says match any punctuation character regardless of language or script.
That's amazing. It's like having a universal translator for punctuation. This pocket reference is full of these aha moments.
It really is. And it doesn't just stop at explaining the concepts. The reference also gives practical examples showing you how to apply these Unicode features in real-world scenarios.
Oh.
For example, it demonstrates how to validate international phone numbers or extract data from multilingual text.
This is invaluable for anyone working with text in the real world, which, let's face it, is most of us these days.
Exactly. This pocket reference empowers you to go from, I need to work with Unicode, to I can confidently handle Unicode in whatever language you're using.
That's a game changer. So we've covered a ton of ground here, from the basics of metacharacters to the complexities of Unicode and everything in between. What would you say is the most important thing for someone to take away from this pocket reference?
I'd say this reference is like a launch pad.
Okay.
Gives you a solid foundation,
Right.
but it also encourages you to keep exploring, to keep experimenting.
Yeah.
Regular expressions are incredibly powerful, and the more you learn, the more you realize there's always more to discover.
And that's the exciting part. It's not about memorizing every single rule or syntax. It's about understanding the core principles and feeling empowered to tackle any regex challenge that comes your way.
Absolutely. This pocket reference gives you that confidence, that I can do this attitude.
So to wrap up, if you're serious about leveling up your text wrangling skills, this regular expression pocket reference is an invaluable companion. It's packed with practical insights, clear explanations, and language-specific guidance to help you navigate the fascinating world of regular expressions.
I couldn't agree more. It's a resource you'll find yourself coming back to again and again throughout your regex journey.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this final thought. The reference mentions that some regex engines support recursion.
Oh, interesting.
Now, how could you leverage the power of recursion within a regular expression? What kind of mind-bending patterns could you create? That's something we encourage you to explore further. Until next time, happy rejects.